At the request of the board, legal counsel was asked to provide a review of this policy. We did receive the notes from Attorney Rebecca Wrightston stating that she reviewed the policy that we presented to her and that there's nothing in here that raises any red flags and it seems to be in concert with other resolutions and DEI policies for other colleges. And so she did not have any reason or recommend any reason why the board should not adopt the draft DEI resolution.
Okay. We have a motion to pass the second reading of the GCC Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion policy.
So it would be now policy 161, and the resolution would be 1-2023.
161 and
it would be resolution 1-2023.
that's 2023.
Is the second reading one the final one?
It's done. Yeah.
So it's done. So then I guess we're here for approval then.
Yes.
Okay. So can I get a motion to approve Guam Community College's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion policy 161 1-2023? Gina?
My second.
Let's have a vote on it. All that approve say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Let's move forward.
So the second one is the updates for the larger construction projects here on campus. So the forensic lab, of course, we held the ceremonial ribbon cutting ceremony last month, and so we are just now waiting for final occupancy. There are two items that are holding the occupancy for this building. One has to do with the generator, which we knew needed additional time to get here and install. And then the other item has to do with a piece of equipment that just needs to be installed for the DDC controls to work. And so that's the only pending two items aside from the GCC hood that has already been sourced for installation. And then once we get through that, we should be able to go through occupancy for final utilization. So that project is, like I said, at the very tail end of getting final occupancy. And that will include not just the GPD side, but of course the GCC classrooms and that. The second item is building 300, which, as we all know, is hanging by a thread and has been for a long time. It is now at 99.65% complete, and they are now working off the punch list. So we're getting close. Just to address some minor architectural and mechanical, electrical little issues on the punch list, to do some retouching of the paint because the building has been significantly delayed. Some of the paint's already fading, so we've asked them to do some touch up on that. And of course, the digital control programming, which is connected to the sustainability piece of the facility.
She's saying we need to add in when we go out to bid, the quality of paint, because I think 5 years is the minimum before we do that.
So the last paint that we did was all sourced, and so the architects are already working on a new paint scheme for us and the types of paint, because in the next month or so we'll be coming to the board for funding for a full painting of the campus in preparation for accreditation. So that's coming through, and they thought that this paint that we had, and he says it might have something to do with the darker colors that we're looking for that seem to be fading. He said, but the last painting we had was, I would say 7 years ago, because that's when the last accreditation was. So they are looking for some additional options for that.
And the budget, that's in your budget, Mary?
So it's not in this budget that's being presented. We're collecting projects that are in preparation for accreditation, and that'll be a request to the board to come from fund balance.
Oh,
yeah, so part of our funding.
If you remember what we did 7 years ago, because that would be a good time, just kind of expanding on her question. Yeah. So kind of keep
I don't remember that.
target.
I don't remember.
Find out.
But we won't include, of course, the newer buildings, but now that we have more buildings, it might be, and a little bit more sophisticated paint scheme.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
We got the barrels now, there's a lot of additional stuff there, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where we are with building 300. Wellness Center, the financial feasibility, I think, is almost finished. And so we should get that fairly soon so that we can submit. They are doing the environmental work, and that report should be given to us soon as well. And we're still pushing through with the USDA on that funding. As far as building B, building B is currently at 32% complete. So they've torn down the old building. So they're, starting to remove the asphalt, sidewalks, and of course the mat posts. And so that project is moving along. The Workforce Development Center, this is the this is the EDA funded renovation. So the Workforce Development Center, we've submitted more information to the EDA officer, and they've accepted our quarterly report, and we're finalizing now. There's some updated documents that we need from the architects in order for us to submit the full bid packet to the EDA representative so that they can approve us going out to bid. So the bid documents are all together. It had to do with updating the stamps because they've since expired, and so they won't be able to get a building permit, so they're just updating it. We should have it this week, if not today. We should have received it.
Trustee Ron, are you familiar with
No,
this
I was just
building?
gonna ask.
Yeah.
The Workforce Development Center is in Varagata. We purchased the old Trades Academy.
Okay.
And we received a $1.2 million EDA grant to do the renovation. And so that facility will be used it really is focused on ship repair, but everything ship repair has to do with construction, welding, and so we'll have satellite locations for construction, HVAC, welding. And so that's all being outfitted, and then there's 4 classrooms in the front part of the building. So it really is a hardening and a renovation of the whole facility. But that is also necessary for us in order for us to do any renovation here. So in order for us to renovate or take down a building, we have to have an alternate space for us to move the program temporarily. And we're going to see that coming up with the culinary facility as well. So once that WDC is done, that will allow us to move the program so that we can take these buildings down. So, just have to do it one at a time so that we have space.
A lot of compliance issues, so it's good.
And then the other project we have is the Student Center canopy. It's now at 71%, and if you've seen it, we just kind of stopped by it on the way down. They're stripping off the framework and the scaffolding for the roof slab and the beams and installing the electrical roughings, the conduits and the boxes. And so that's now at 71% complete, and that's the one funded through our CARES funding as well. And then for the next meeting, we will add the culinary now renovation. I did receive word from U.S. Department of Ed. There's one final document now that they want me to update. And once they receive it, that's the final document. We have requested to use the remaining $1.9 million that we have in CARES funding to support that construction. And as part of that, we're also the culinary, the dean is also working to look for an alternate location because we're going to have to take the building down. So they're going to have to relocate culinary to an off-site location while the renovation is going on. So we couldn't phase it to keep the kitchen open in the back and take out, renovate the front. Eventually that building will be culinary in the back, and the whole front side where the MPA is now is going to be baking. And we don't know what it's going to cost. We're allocating 1.9, so we'll see once the bid comes in how that works. And so we'll add that construction project to our next meeting.
What are you thinking, like subleasing from a restaurant or
Yeah.
So
hotel?
we're already in,
Yeah.
there's a couple of spaces that we're already looking at.
Okay.
A couple of places recently closed down.
Yeah. I
So we're looking at that space, and there's a space that we were approached, I would say about a year or so ago to use down in Tucson, but we don't know if it's still available, so.
And how much space are we looking for?
Yeah.
Just enough to get us through the culinary kitchen. So our cohort is usually about 20 students. So,
3,000 square.
yeah, so the dean and the department now is looking for that space.
It's good, very good.
So, that's all I have in terms of CIP.
Okay, thank you very much. New business, fiscal year 2024 budget.
Okay, so before you is the fiscal year 2024 budget that was presented to the RPF, the Resource Planning Facility Governance Group, and the College Governing Council. They have approved the fiscal year 2024 budget as presented. We are now requesting, this includes all the NEF and the special projects as well. We did have a work session on Tuesday, and Trustee Ramos and Trustee Anguero and Trustee Sablon, I addressed any questions they have regarding this. Because the budget was already in motion prior to the notice from the governor's office regarding the 22%, it is not included in here. But we are calculating, we're just looking for what the effective date might be. If it's effective based on the current media reports and the executive order, it is anticipated to begin April 1st. If that's the case, the college has a calculation based on what that amount would be for us. And so we have three scenarios. What happens if it's effective April 1st? What happens if it's effective October 1st? And what happens, what does the budget for 24 look like with April 1st as an effective date and continuing on through the next year? Because it really, the effective date really is dependent, is important because employees have different increment dates. And so this will support the staff, all the staff that are currently under the general pay plan, which is under the Civil Service Commission. And so, again, that is not included in this budget, but we have the figures to support the necessary amount. And then we will either submit a supplemental for that specific request and get the funding for the current year. So we've done that calculation already.
Well, I don't have any questions on the budget.
I'm good with it.
Okay. Okay, and can I get a motion to approve the fiscal year 2024 budget as is?
I so move.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, okay.
So just for the record, the budget request is $22,164,017.
Without the
Without
potential.
the GPP
As is.
increase. Yeah,
Do you have a budget hearing date?
not yet.
Feels like we just went down. Good job. Okay, President's travel request.
So this travel request was something I thought that was going to come in March. And I did get a notice from, it's called Air University Board of Visitors under the Department of the Air Force. It's the Community College of the Air Force Subcommittee meeting, which is what I was asked to participate 2 years ago prior to the pandemic. And so in trying to get information as to when the schedule was going to happen, I requested for information so that I can send to the chair and the vice chair for their consideration. And so this is going to take place next week. February 14th and 15th in San Antonio at Lackland Air Force Base. And basically the meeting is an advisory committee to the Air Force to get information from this subcommittee on independent advice and recommendations that it relates to the educational and research policies and activities of the Community College of the Air Force. And so this was something that was requested, like I said, over 2 years ago, and they're finally meeting face to face. And so that's why this request is coming to the board at the last meeting.
Are there any questions?
No.
Okay. Can I get a request to approve the president's travel schedule for February 2023? Trustee Ramos, a second. Trustee Bentley. Okay, let's get a vote on this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion passes. Okay, is there anything else before we move into executive session?
That's it.
Okay, any motion?
My motion to move into executive.
Okay. Let's move into executive session next. Okay. Can I get a motion to accept the president's report? Trustee Ramos?
I second the motion.
Okay, if there's no objection, the motion passes. Is there, Ben, did you get awarded a scholarship? Yes, I was hoping that you announced that during the thing, but I wanted to tell everyone here how proud we are of that accomplishment and your work as a student trustee this past year. I gotta admit, I don't know if you've seen it, man, over the last few years, we're seeing the trustees and student trustees improve. I mean, the reporting has been magnificent. So congratulations on your scholarship. Was it a scholarship?
Yes.
Yeah, and what was it?
LGBTQ scholarship.
Yes, congratulations. Yeah, it's a huge accomplishment, you know, something. Did you get a certificate?
Yeah, now they show me like,
Yeah. You good? Good job. And I just wanted to congratulate the school, you know, on all the improvements and, you know, us getting back to business as usual. And if there's anything that we can do as a board to help support, you know, the growth of GCC, you know, we're here for you. Okay, if there's nothing else, can we get a motion to adjourn?
I can make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 1:02.
Thank you. Can we get a second? Second. Okay, if there's no objection, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.